Have you ever watched a video and thought something feels a little bit off? Maybe the person is saying all the right things, but you can just tell they are not in their element. Well, guess what? Your audience can feel that about you too. Let's talk about it. Here's the thing, looking confident on video isn't about faking it. It's about actually feeling comfortable in your own skin. And today, I am going to give you 3 simple steps so that you can use them to show up on camera looking effortless, confident, and completely in control, even when you're not. And hey, if this is your first time here with me, I'm Ella Glasgow, and I help small business owners and corporate team leaders show up confidently on live video, whether you are running a virtual meeting, leading a webinar, or hosting a video podcast. And I've spent over 20 years performing on stage and screen, and I know firsthand that confidence on camera is not something that you are born with. It is something that you develop. Now, if you have ever rewatched yourself on video and thought, why do I look so uncomfortable? Or worse yet, someone else tells you that you look out of place, you are not alone. In fact, go ahead and drop a raised hand emoji in the comments if that's ever happened to you. In fact, this did happen to me a few years ago after I was showing a video of my first big solo stage performance to a friend. I was really proud of it, and I had gotten some decent feedback about it as well. But when this new friend watched, they said that you look out of place, Ella. And in that moment, I was crushed. I had been working a long time to get to this point of being able to do a show completely alone on stage. And after I got through the initial shock, a few days later, I watched it again. And I watched it as someone who didn't know me, just like that new friend. And I realized they were right. There was something inauthentic in how I was being on stage. I wasn't being fully me, I was still playing a character. And interestingly, they could see that. That was 2010. And I worked a long time to find me and be fully me in front of a crowd when I wasn't playing a character. The day I knew that I had cracked it was when one of my voice students' parents came to me and said, after she had seen me perform solo in a venue in town, during my break, she said, "Wow, you are literally the same person on stage that you are in the studio." Now, she didn't know how much that observation meant to me because it took me 5 years to get to me. But there is something about staring at a lens, staring back at you instead of a real human that makes you feel very awkward and it's scary. And for me, it was that delayed feedback. When I'm on a physical stage, I can see people nodding and reacting and engaging with what I'm saying. But on camera, there's nothing. I can't see you. I cannot hear you. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I am a huge proponent of Zoom with cameras on. But in that silence, I'd get into my own head. Do I sound okay? Is this making sense? Are they even interested? And the more I waited for that feedback, the more I overthought how what I was putting out might be perceived. And that overthinking led to procrastinating, which led to me not putting anything on video for long periods of time. But once I figured out how to stop over analyzing and focus on engaging instead in the same way that I learned to do it on stage, everything changed. And that is what I'm going to share with you today. So let's talk about the 3 key steps that make all the difference when it comes to showing up confidently on camera. One of the biggest misconceptions I've heard is thinking confidence is something that just magically shows up if you do it enough times. But confidence only shows up if you do that thing enough times with intention. If you practice scared, you're going to show up scared, okay? So first things first, mistake number 1 is talking at the camera. And let's be honest, most people are out here looking at themselves on the camera or the computer screen. I know You and I have both looked and checked ourselves out before once or twice to make sure that we're looking good, forgetting where that camera lens actually is. So here is the shift. You are not talking to a camera. You are talking through it to a real person. Before I go live or I step into that Zoom meeting or record a presentation, I picture who I'm talking to. Maybe it's a client. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's you. Whoever it is, I make sure that I'm speaking to someone and not just to the screen. And when you start doing this, your energy will immediately feel more connected and real. So let's talk about scripting. I know you might hate scripts because it makes you feel like a robot in a straitjacket. And the real reason for this is you're either over rehearsing or you are winging it way too much. You need a balance. And personally, yes, I do write out my scripts before I make these videos. And it used to make me feel restricted, but I have noticed that it also keeps me on track. So what I do is I read through my script multiple times before I get on this camera. Because let's be real, your first take is going to be awkward. It's not going to sound good. You are still getting used to how the words feel coming out of your mouth. And by that third or fourth time, you start to sound more natural, like you're having a conversation. That is the sweet spot. But if scripting feels too cumbersome for you, there is a little trick that I learned from a comedian a long time ago when I was performing on cruise ships. And I asked him if he scripted his sets. He told me that he didn't. He uses bullet points. He has a lot of stories that he can tell. He's collected a lot over the years, and bullet points make it easy for him to have quick recall of what he wants to say and keeps him in a framework. And it can work for you too. Just keep in mind that you don't ramble, which brings me to my last point about scripts. If you have lived into your script enough, even if it's for a one off event, you will be able to improvise within the framework of that script and have somewhere to get back to if you do get off track. If you don't know your foundation and where you're supposed to park this train, you will most certainly fall off the rails. And now, even with the right prep, your nerves can still creep in. And when they do, your body starts tensing up. If you feel stiff or nervous, it's because your body is holding on to that fight or flight energy and it needs to go somewhere. So before I go live or I step into that Zoom meeting, I do two things. And I have also taught this to my clients. The first thing is all about shifting your mindset because honestly, when you are feeling nervous, it's usually because you're making it about you. Will I mess up? Do I look okay? What if they don't like me? Me. It's a desperate energy that your audience can feel, and you need to detach from that. If I'm in that desperate energy before I turn that camera on, I take a deep breath and I remind myself, I am not this job. I accept today's outcome with grace. This mindset shift helps to remove the pressure to perform perfectly, and it allows you to focus on serving your audience. The more that you can detach from that fear of judgment, the more naturally confident you will feel and look on camera. And then I say this out loud: I can and I will express myself thoroughly. This reminds me that I do know what I'm talking about. I have prepared and I can fully express and get across all I need to in this time. And then for that energy that is still sometimes racing through our bodies, I do a full body squeeze so I can quickly release it. And we're going to do it together right now, okay? I tense up my whole body, one piece at a time for 10 seconds. After I hold it for 10 seconds after that. All right, so let's do it. You ready? We're going to start with our toes. Squeeze your toes, then squeeze your heels, then squeeze your legs, then squeeze your knees, then squeeze your thighs, and squeeze your abs, and squeeze your shoulders, and then squeeze your elbows and your hands and your face and hold it for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release it. Whew, and give it a little shake. Oh, that feels so good. It feels so good. This is a physical reset. It will physically reset your energy so that you are relaxed and open instead of tense and ready to run. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these steps do you think will help you the most? Is it the visualization or the shifting of your energy? I want you to go ahead, tell me in the comments. And now that you know how to look natural on camera and on video, let's take this a step further. In the next video, I'm going to be breaking down how to sound more confident on camera, even if you're nervous. So go ahead and click up here so that you can watch it now. Or if it's not live yet, make sure that you are subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you don't miss it when it hits the airwaves. I'll see you next time.